Hello, my dear English learners. Welcome back to English Practice with Julia. I'm Julia, and I'm truly so happy to have you here with me today. If this is your first time here, then let me warmly welcome you. Please feel relaxed and comfortable. You do not need perfect English to join this lesson. You only need a little time, a little patience, and the willingness to learn. And I'll be here to guide you gently, step by step, every single day. We upload a new English learning video every day, so you can keep practicing in a calm, easy, and consistent way, without pressure. Today, I want you to think of this lesson as a cozy English conversation, just you and me, learning together in a simple and peaceful way. There is no need to hurry, and there is no need to feel nervous. We are going to gently improve your listening, your speaking, and also your vocabulary in a very natural way. So if you can, please take a pen and some paper and keep them near you. It's not a rule, of course, but it can really help you remember new words and phrases more easily, and it can help you feel more confident as you practice. Now, today's topic is very exciting because we are going to explore 500 essential verbs and phrases that people use again and again in daily life. Yes, I know that number may sound big at first, but please don't worry. We are not going to rush. We will go slowly, clearly, and naturally, so you can really understand how these verbs and phrases work in real English conversations, not just in textbooks, but in everyday life. In this lesson, you will hear useful expressions that can help you at home, at work, at school, while shopping, while traveling, while talking to friends, and in many other common situations. You'll notice how simple verbs can become powerful tools when you learn how native speakers really use them in natural sentences. And little by little, you'll begin to feel more comfortable using them in your own English too. We'll go through easy, real-life examples that sound natural and conversational, the kind of English people really use every day. Together, we'll listen carefully to the sentence flow. We'll notice how ideas connect smoothly, and you'll learn useful patterns that you can use again and again in your own speaking. You'll also get practice along the way. So this lesson will not only help you understand more English, but also help you use it with more confidence. You'll discover that many important verbs and phrases are actually very simple, but they become much more useful when you know how to use them in the right situation. So by the end of this lesson, I want you to feel relaxed, encouraged, and proud of yourself. And I want you to say, now I can understand and use these everyday English verbs and phrases in a much more natural way. Before we begin, may I ask you for one small and kind favor? If you enjoy learning English with me in this calm and friendly way, please subscribe and press the bell icon too. That way, you won't miss our daily lessons, and it also supports me so I can keep creating these gentle lessons for you. Thank you so much, truly. I really appreciate it. One of the most useful verbs in English is get. This little verb is everywhere, and that is exactly why it matters so much. You can get up in the morning, get dressed for work, Get ready for school. Get tired after a long day. Get hungry before lunch. Get home in the evening. Get better after being sick. And get started on something important. Listen carefully to how natural these sound. I usually get up at 7. I get dressed quickly because I do not like to waste time in the morning. She gets ready while listening to music. We got tired after walking around the city all afternoon. He got home late because of traffic. These are not difficult sentences. Bow, but they are powerful because they help you describe real life in a very natural way. Now let's slow down and practice these in a more personal way. Imagine your own day. You wake up, you leave your bed, you wash your face, you choose your clothes, you prepare yourself for the day. In English, you can say, I get up at 6:30. I get dressed after I take a shower. I get ready before breakfast. Try to feel the rhythm of these sentences. I get up early on weekdays. I get dressed in my room. I get ready slowly on weekends. Good. Now make it more personal in your mind. Maybe you get up late on Sundays. Maybe you get ready in a hurry on busy mornings. Maybe you get tired in the afternoon. This is how English becomes real. You connect it to your own habits. Another very common daily verb is go. We use it to talk about movement, routines, plans, and activities. We go to work, go to school, go outside, go shopping, go for a walk, go back home, go out with friends, and go to bed at night. Listen to these examples. I usually go to work by bus. My children go to school near our house. We sometimes go shopping after dinner. She likes to go for a walk when the weather is nice. He went back home because he forgot his phone. I want to go out this weekend. The beauty of go is that it lets you talk about your life very easily, where you move, where you spend time, and what you choose to do. Now let's practice with a simple daily story. I get up at 7. I get ready for the day. Then I go to the kitchen and make some tea. After that, I go to work. In the evening, I go back home and rest for a while. Later, I go out for a short walk or stay inside and read. Can you hear how these easy verbs begin to create a full picture of a real day? This is exactly the kind of English you need for fluency. Not rare words, not complicated grammar, but simple verbs used clearly and naturally. Let's move to another essential verb, make. This verb is extremely useful because we use it for creating, preparing, producing, and even causing something. We make breakfast, make coffee, make a phone call, make dinner, make a plan, make a mistake, make progress, make time for someone, and make a decision. Listen carefully. I make coffee every morning. She made a reservation for tonight. We need to make a plan before we leave. He made a mistake, but learned from it. They are making dinner in the kitchen. I am trying to make more time for exercise. These sentences sound natural because native speakers use them all the time. Now compare make and do. This is something many English learners find confusing, and that is very normal. We usually use do for actions, tasks, jobs, and activities. We do homework, do the dishes, do the laundry, do our best, do some work, do exercise, and do the cleaning. Listen to the difference. I make breakfast, but I do the dishes. She made a list, then she did her homework. He does the laundry on Saturday. We are doing our best. They made a plan and then did the work step by step, little by little. This becomes easier when you hear it inside real situations. Now let's practice with everyday examples that bring these verbs together. In the morning, I make my bed and then I do a few simple stretches. After breakfast, I do some work on my computer. In the evening, I make dinner and my sister does the dishes. On weekends, we do the cleaning together and then make a list of things we need for the next week. These are practical, useful, and easy to imagine. That is why they are so valuable. You are not just learning words. You are building daily English that you can use again and again. Another essential group of verbs helps us talk about communication. We speak, talk, say, tell, ask, answer, and explain. These verbs matter because daily life is full of communication. We talk to family, speak to coworkers, ask questions, answer messages, tell stories, and explain problems. Listen to these examples. I need to talk to you about something. She spoke to her teacher after class. Yeah, he told me the truth. Please say that again slowly. I want to ask you a question. Can you answer this email today? She explained everything very clearly. These are not advanced sentences, but they are the kind of sentences that help you function in English every day. Now let's practice a few natural mini situations. Imagine you are at home and your friend sends you a message. You can say, I will answer you in a minute. Imagine you are at work and you need help. You can say, can I ask you something? Imagine someone is speaking too fast. You can say, could you say that again more slowly? Imagine you are telling someone about your day. You can say, let me tell you what happened this morning. Bob, imagine your child does not understand something. You can say, let me explain it in a simple way. This is real English. Warm, useful, and clear. Now, let's bring in some daily life verb phrases with look, because these are also everywhere. We look at something, look for something, look after someone, look around, and look forward to something. Listen carefully. I looked at my phone and saw your message. She is looking for her keys. He looks after his grandmother on weekends. We looked around the store but did not buy anything. I am looking forward to the holiday. These phrases are very common, and they each carry a different meaning. Look at means direct your eyes towards something. Look for means try to find something. Look after means take care of someone. And look forward to means feel excited about something in the future. Let's practice them in a soft and natural paragraph. This morning, I looked at the clock and realized I was running late. Then I looked for my bag, but I could not find it at first. My brother laughed and said it was on the chair by the door. Later in the day, I looked after my little nephew for 2 hours while my sister went to an appointment. Tonight, I am looking forward to a quiet evening at home. Can you see how natural that feels? It sounds like real life because it is built from everyday actions and familiar emotions. Another very useful verb is take. We take a shower, take a break, take a seat, take a bus, take a photo, take a deep breath, take notes, and take care of ourselves. Listen carefully. I need to take a break after this meeting. Please take a seat and make yourself comfortable. She took a lot of photos during the trip. He takes the train to work every day. Let's take a deep breath and relax. I always take notes when I study. These are beautiful examples of how one simple verb can appear in many different parts of life. Now let's turn that into practice. Imagine you are having a busy day. You can say, I need to take a break because I have been working for hours. Imagine you enter a classroom or office. Someone smiles and says, please take a seat. Imagine you are traveling with friends. You stop at a beautiful place, and someone says, let's take a photo here. Imagine you feel nervous, and you remind yourself, take a deep breath. Everything will be okay. This is how everyday English supports everyday life. It helps you express action, feeling, and intention with simple, natural phrases. Now let's talk about verbs that help you describe activity inside the home. You can turn on the light, turn off the TV, clean up the room, put away your clothes, pick up your bag, sit down on the sofa, stand up from the chair, and lie down to rest. Listen carefully. Please turn on the fan. Don't forget to turn off the stove. I need to clean up the kitchen. She put away the groceries after shopping. He picked up his jacket and left. Come in and sit down. I stood up too quickly and felt dizzy. After lunch, I lay down for a short rest. These phrases are extremely useful because so much conversation happens around small actions at home. Here is a practice paragraph for you to feel the flow. When I got home, I turned on the light and put my bag near the door. I picked up the mail from the table and sat down for a few minutes. After that, I cleaned up the kitchen, put away the dishes, and turned off the television because I wanted some quiet time. Later, I lay down on the sofa and rested before making dinner. Notice how ordinary this sounds, and that is exactly the point. Fluency grows when you can talk comfortably about ordinary life. Now let's work with verbs for thinking and planning. We think about something. figure something out, decide on something, plan ahead, and find out something new. Listen carefully. I need to think about your idea. She is trying to figure out the answer. We decided on a simple plan. It helps to plan ahead before a busy week. I just found out that the meeting was canceled. These phrases help you talk about the mind, not just physical action. They help you express uncertainty, decision, discovery, and reflection. All of these are important in real conversation. Let's practice with a thoughtful daily example. I was thinking about my schedule for tomorrow because I have many things to do. First, I tried to figure out which task was the most important. Then I decided on a simple plan. Work in the morning, shopping in the afternoon, and rest in the evening. Later, I found out that one appointment had been moved, so I had to change my plan a little. This is the kind of paragraph that helps learners speak more naturally because it sounds like something a real person would actually say. Let's begin with the verb come. This is such a simple word, but it is one of the most useful verbs in spoken English. We use it when someone moves toward us, when something arrives, when an event happens, or when an idea becomes clear. You can say, "Come here for a second. Are you coming with us? My package finally came today. Christmas is coming soon. A good idea came to me while I was walking." Can you hear how natural and flexible this verb is? It appears in a very ordinary speech all the time. A mother says to her child, "Come inside. It's getting cold." A friend says, "Come with me. I want to show you something." A teacher says, "Come to the board and write the answer." These are all small examples, but together they show how alive this verb really is. Now let's practice it in a simple daily paragraph. My friend called me in the afternoon and asked if I wanted to come over for coffee. At first, I was busy, but then I finished my work earlier than expected, so I decided to go. When I came to her house, she was already waiting at the door with a smile. We sat near the window, talked about life, and enjoyed a very quiet evening together. That simple word, come, helped us describe movement, arrival, and human connection, and that is exactly why it matters so much. Now let's add another useful partner to come, and that is go, used together in contrast. In daily English, we often choose between come and go depending on direction. I go to the office, but please come to my office at 3. We went to the mall, and then our friends came later. Are you going home now, or coming with us first? This difference may feel small, but it helps make your English sound natural. It also helps you imagine who is speaking, where they are, and where the movement is happening. So when you practice, try to picture the scene in your mind. That little habit can help a lot. Another verb that appears all the time in daily life is bring. We bring our phone, bring a friend, bring some food, bring a book, bring good news, or bring something back. Listen carefully. Can you bring me a glass of water? She brought her sister to the party. I forgot to bring my notebook. He brought some snacks for everyone. Please bring your ID with you. Native speakers use this verb constantly because it is practical. And practical verbs make practical English. Now imagine a few situations. You are leaving home and your mother says, "Don't forget to bring your umbrella." You are going to a picnic and your friend texts you, "Can you bring some fruit?" You are at work and a coworker asks, "Did you bring the file for the meeting?" These are extremely common daily moments, and when you can speak about them naturally, you start to feel more comfortable in English. Let's build that into a gentle paragraph. This morning, I was in a hurry and almost forgot to bring my lunch with me. Luckily, I remembered it just before I left the house, at work. My manager asked me to bring a few documents into the meeting room later. One of my coworkers brought coffee for everyone, and suddenly the whole room felt warmer and more friendly. Now let's move to leave. Another important verb that helps you describe daily routines and changes in place. You can leave the house, leave work, leave a message, leave something on the table, or leave early because you are tired. Listen to these examples. I leave home at 8 every morning. She left her keys in the kitchen. Please leave a message after the beep. We left the restaurant around 9. He had to leave early because he was not feeling well. This verb is simple, but it gives you many ways to explain time, movement, and decisions. Let's practice it in a real-life flow. I usually leave the house a little before 8, but today I left later than usual because I could not find my shoes. Before leaving, I wrote a short note and left it on the table for my brother. At the office, one of my coworkers left a message on my desk to remind me about tomorrow's meeting. In the evening, I felt tired, so I left the party early and went home to rest. Do you notice how ordinary and useful that sounds? This is exactly the kind of English that helps you in real life, not just in a lesson. Now let's spend some time with the verb keep. This is a very useful daily verb because it can mean continue, hold, store, or not give something away. You can keep trying, keep going, keep your phone in your bag, keep the door open, keep a promise, or keep in touch with someone. Listen carefully. Please keep the window closed. I want to keep this photo forever. She kept talking even after the movie started. Keep going. You're doing great. Let's keep in touch after the course ends. This verb is full of emotional and practical meaning, and it appears often in warm, supportive English. Now imagine this gentle paragraph. Learning English takes time. So the most important thing is to keep going, even when you feel slow, even when you make mistakes. Keep your notebook nearby. Keep your mind open and keep practicing a little every day. I still keep old notes from my first English lessons because they remind me that progress happens step by step. Sometimes I want to stop and rest, and that is okay too, but I always try to keep moving forward in some small way. This kind of language feels human, honest, and encouraging. And that is the kind of English I want you to hear and absorb. Another essential verb is hold. You can hold a bag, hold a baby, hold someone's hand, hold a cup of tea, or hold on for a moment during a phone call. Listen carefully. She was holding a small notebook in her hand. He held the door open for me. Hold on a second. I'm almost ready. The child held his mother's hand while crossing the street. I was holding my phone when you called. This verb is physical, simple, and very visual, which makes it easier to remember. Let's practice it with daily imagery. I was standing at the bus stop, holding a cup of coffee in one hand and my phone in the other. A woman next to me was holding a large shopping bag and looking a little tired. When the bus arrived, an older man held the door for us, and everyone got on quietly. Later, my friend called and I said, "Hold on a second. I'm just getting off the bus now." Can you feel how natural that scene sounds? It sounds like life because it is made of the little things that happen every day. Now let's talk about help. This is one of the warmest and most useful verbs in English. We help a friend, help a child with homework, help someone carry something, help solve a problem, or help ourselves improve. Listen carefully. Can you help me with this bag? She helped her son study for the test. This video will help you build confidence. He helped me find the address. I'm just trying to help. This verb matters because life is full of situations where people need support, and good language should help you speak in those moments. Let's turn that into a calm practice paragraph. Yesterday, I was carrying too many groceries, and one of my neighbors kindly offered to help me. It was such a small thing, but it made my evening much easier. At home, I helped my niece with her reading homework, and then she helped me set the table for dinner. We often think of English as something formal, but really, so much of it grows in these soft, everyday moments. Helping, thanking, asking, answering, sharing. Now let's move into very practical verbs for communication and technology, because modern daily life is full of them. We call someone, text someone, send a message, check our email, reply later, save a number, charge our phone, and log into an account. Listen to these examples. I'll call you after lunch. She sent me the address this morning. Please check your email before the meeting. He forgot to charge his phone last night. I need to reply to that message. Can you save my number? These phrases are extremely useful in modern English because people use them constantly. Now imagine a realistic paragraph. This morning, I checked my phone as soon as I woke up. I had 2 unread messages from my friend and 1 email from work. I replied to my friend first. Then I checked the email carefully because it included new instructions for tomorrow. Later. My sister called and asked if I could send her the photo we took last weekend. I told her I would do it after dinner. But then my phone battery got low because I had forgotten to charge it. These situations are so normal, and that is why they are excellent for practice. When you can describe your real digital life in English, your speaking becomes more practical and more fluent. Now let's work with use. Another daily verb that seems small but appears everywhere. We use a key, use a knife, use a word, use a computer, use public transport, use our time well, or use a phrase in the right situation. Listen carefully. I use this app every day. She used a simple example to explain the idea. We need to use our time wisely. He used my pen by mistake. Can I use your charger for a minute? This verb is powerful because it connects objects, language, habits, and choices. Here is a soft practice paragraph. I try to use English a little every day, even if it is only for 10 or 15 minutes. Sometimes I use English to write a short note to myself. Sometimes I use it while watching videos. And sometimes I use it when talking quietly to myself about my plans for the day. The more I use it, the less distant it feels, and the more natural it becomes. That is true for everyone. Language grows through use, not only through study. Now let's take 2 very important daily phrases. Need to and have to. These help you talk about necessity, responsibility, and daily obligations. I need to leave soon. I have to finish this today. She needs to rest. We have to be careful. He has to wake up early tomorrow. These phrases are some of the most common in spoken English because daily life is full of things we need to do and have to do. Listen carefully to the rhythm. I need to buy some milk. We have to catch the train. She needs to call her doctor. He has to work late tonight. Now build that into real life. I need to clean the kitchen before my guests arrive. I also need to stop by the store because we do not have enough bread or fruit. After that, I have to answer 2 emails and finish 1 last task for work. My brother has to pick up the kids from school, and my mother needs to rest because she did not sleep well last night. This is how simple English becomes useful English. It lets you talk clearly about life as it is. Let's also include want to, because desire is part of daily speech too. We want to learn, want to relax, want to eat something sweet, want to travel, or want to spend time with people we love. Listen carefully. I want to go home and rest. She wants to improve her English. We want to try that new cafe. He wants to speak more confidently. They want to spend the weekend by the sea. Ow, this phrase is beautiful because it gives your English warmth and personality. It lets you say what matters to you. Now listen to this more personal paragraph. I want to speak English in a way that feels natural and calm. I do not want to memorize words and then forget them the next day. I want to understand them, feel them, and use them in real moments. I want to be able to ask simple questions, answer clearly, and speak without so much fear. That is why I keep coming back to these basic verbs and phrases, because they are not small at all. They are the foundation of real communication. Another wonderful daily verb is meet. We meet friends, meet coworkers, meet someone for coffee, meet a teacher, or meet a deadline at work. Listen carefully. I'm meeting Sarah after class. We met at a small cafe downtown. He has to meet his manager at 3. It was nice to meet you. We worked hard to meet the deadline. This verb is common in both social life and work life, which makes it especially useful. Let's practice it naturally. Last Friday, I met an old friend for coffee after work. We had not seen each other in months, so we talked for a long time about family, work, and future plans. The cafe was small and quiet, and it felt good to meet someone who knew me so well. Earlier that same day, I had met my manager for a short meeting about a new project, so by the evening I was a little tired, but also happy. It had been a full day, one with both work and friendship in it. Let's begin with the verb put. This is one of those wonderful everyday verbs that appears constantly in spoken English. We put our keys on the table, put milk in coffee, put on a jacket, put away the groceries, put a phone in a bag, or put something back where it belongs. Listen carefully. I put my shoes by the door. She put some sugar in her tea. Please put your phone away during dinner. He put on his coat and left the house. I need to put these books back on the shelf. This verb is so useful because daily life is full of placing, moving, and arranging things. And when you know how to use put naturally, boy, you can describe many small actions very easily. Now let's place that inside a simple daily paragraph. This morning, I came home from the store and put the groceries on the kitchen counter. Then I put the milk in the fridge, put the bread in the cabinet, and put a few apples in a bowl on the table. Later, I put on a light jacket because the weather suddenly turned cool. Before sitting down to work, I put my phone away so I could focus better. Do you hear how smoothly that works? One small verb, many real-life uses, and all of them feel natural. Now let's stay close to daily routines and work with set. This is another practical verb that helps you talk about preparation, timing, and arrangement. We set an alarm, set the table, set a date, set rules, or set something down carefully. Listen to these examples. I set my alarm for 6:30. She set the table before dinner. We need to set a date for the meeting. He set the box down near the door. My parents always set clear rules for us when we were children. In daily life, Set often appears when we are preparing something in advance, and that makes it a very helpful verb for planning and routine. Here is a calm practice paragraph. Every night before bed, I set my alarm for the next morning. It helps me feel more organized. In the evening, my niece likes to help set the table. She carefully puts out the plates, forks, wore glasses, and napkins, and she looks very proud of herself when everything is ready. Last weekend, we also set a date for a family dinner next month, and now everyone is looking forward to it. These are small events, but they are full of the kind of English people use every day. Now let's move to pay, because money and simple transactions are part of real life too. We pay for coffee, pay a bill, pay attention, pay someone back, or pay by card. Listen carefully. I paid for lunch today. She needs to pay the electricity bill. Can I pay by card? He said he would pay me back tomorrow. Please pay attention to the instructions. This is an excellent example of how one verb can have both practical and less literal meanings. You pay for food, but you also pay attention to a person or situation, and both uses are very common. Now imagine this realistic paragraph. After work, I stopped at a small cafe and ordered tea and a sandwich. When it was time to pay, I realized I had left some cash at home, so I paid by card instead. Later, when I got home, I remembered that I also needed to pay an online bill before the end of the day. While doing that, I had to pay close attention because one of the numbers looked wrong. This is how daily English really works. Little actions, little choices, little responsibilities. You're all connected through clear natural verbs. Another essential daily verb is spend. We spend time with family, spend money on groceries, spend the afternoon reading, or spend energy on something important. Listen carefully. I spent the weekend at home. She spends a lot of time studying. We do not want to spend too much money today. He spent the evening with friends. I spent hours trying to fix my computer. This verb helps you talk about how time, money, and energy are used, and those are things people talk about all the time. Let's practice it with a more human and reflective paragraph. These days, I try to spend my time more carefully. I do not want to spend all my free hours looking at my phone without thinking. I want to spend more time reading, resting, and speaking English in small, natural ways. Last Sunday, I spent the morning cleaning the house, the afternoon visiting my aunt, and the evening quietly at home with a cup of tea. It was not an exciting day, but it felt peaceful and full. And sometimes that is exactly what we need. Now let's work with wait, because waiting is part of everyday life everywhere. We wait for a bus, wait for a reply, wait in line, wait outside, or wait a minute while someone gets ready. Listen carefully. I'm waiting for my friend. She waited in line for 20 minutes. Please wait here for a moment. He is still waiting for an answer. We had to wait outside because the store was too crowded. This verb is gentle, patient, and extremely common. It may sound simple, but it helps you speak naturally in many situations. Here is a familiar daily paragraph. This morning, I had to wait for the bus longer than usual because traffic was heavy. While I was waiting, I checked my messages and watched people walking by with coffee cups in their hands. Later in the day, I sent an email and then waited for a reply. Sometimes waiting feels frustrating, but sometimes it gives you a quiet moment to breathe and look around. Even in small situations like this, English becomes more real when you connect it to your own experience. Now let's bring in try, such an important verb for learners, and also for life in general. We try to understand, try a new restaurant, try to stay calm, try on new clothes, or try our best in a difficult situation. Listen carefully. I'm trying to learn this step by step. She tried to call you last night. Let's try that place across the street. He tried on 3 jackets before choosing one. I always try my best. This verb carries effort, hope, and intention, and that is why it is such an important word for real conversation. Now let's make it personal. Learning English is not about being perfect. So it is about being willing to try again. Some days, you may feel strong and focused, and on other days, you may feel tired or unsure. But if you keep trying, you are still moving forward. Yesterday, I tried to organize my notes more clearly, but my desk was such a mess that I ended up laughing and starting again more slowly. In the evening, I tried a new soup recipe, and although it was not perfect, it still turned out warm and comforting. This is real life, and real life is full of trying, adjusting, and continuing. Now let's talk about start and stop. These are 2 of the most basic and most necessary verbs in English. We start the day, start a new book, start working, start cooking dinner, or start to feel better. We stop talking, stop the car, stop for coffee, stop doing something unhealthy, or stop by a friend's house on the way home. Listen carefully. I started work at 9. She started learning English last year. We need to stop at the gas station. He stopped talking when the phone rang. I want to stop wasting time. These verbs are simple, but they shape the rhythm of daily life because life is full of beginnings and endings. Here is a practice paragraph with both. My day started quietly. I woke up before the alarm and listened to the early morning sounds outside my window. Then I started making breakfast and getting ready for work. On the way there, the bus stopped near a small bakery, and for a moment I wished I had time to go in and buy fresh bread. After work, I stopped by my brother's house to drop off a book, and later, when I finally got home, I stopped thinking about my tasks for the day and just rested. That is how basic verbs create a full scene. Naturally, without effort. Another important daily verb is happen, because people constantly talk about events, surprises, problems, and little moments of change. We ask, what happened? We say, something strange happened this morning, or it happened so quickly. Listen carefully. What happened to your phone? A funny thing happened on the way here. Nothing serious happened. Don't worry. It happened by accident. I do not know how it happened. This verb is especially useful in storytelling because it helps you describe events in a simple, clear way. Now imagine this natural paragraph. This morning, something unexpected happened. I was getting ready to leave the house when the lights suddenly went out for a few seconds. At first, I stood still and wondered what had happened. Then everything came back on again, and I just laughed quietly to myself. Later, I told my friend about it, and she said the same thing had happened in her neighborhood too. Small moments like this appear in daily conversation all the time. And that is why happen belongs in your active English. Now let's move to seem and feel. These are beautiful verbs because they help you express impressions and emotions. And daily communication is not only about action. It is also about how life feels. We say, you seem tired. This room feels cold. I feel better now. It seems like a good idea. She seems happy today. Listen carefully. He seems a little worried. I feel ready for the meeting. This coffee tastes great, and it feels comforting on a cold day. It seems like everyone is busy this week. These verbs help your English sound more thoughtful, more personal, and more human. Let's build that into a soft paragraph. Today, I feel calmer than I did yesterday. Maybe it is because I slept well. Or maybe it is just one of those quiet days when everything seems a little easier. The air feels fresh. The room seems bright. And even the work on my desk does not feel too heavy. When I talk to people, I notice more than just their words. I notice if they seem nervous, if they seem excited, or if they just need someone to listen. This kind of language adds emotion and warmth to your English, and that matters a lot. Now let's use move and stay, because these two verbs help describe place, change, and rest. We move a chair. Move to another city, move slowly through traffic, or move something out of the way. How? We stay home, stay with family, stay calm, stay late at work, or stay in touch with old friends. Listen carefully. Could you move your bag a little? She moved to Chicago last year. We stayed home because it was raining. He stayed late to finish the report. Try to stay calm. These verbs are useful because life is always balancing movement and stillness, going and staying, changing and remaining. Now listen to this daily life paragraph. Last month, my cousin moved to a new apartment across town. So last weekend, I went to help her move a few boxes and small pieces of furniture. After that, I stayed for tea and we talked for a long time about how different the new neighborhood feels. She said she still misses her old street a little, but she also feels excited about this fresh start. In the evening, I stayed home and rested because long. These are such normal moments, but they make excellent speaking practice because they are rich with useful everyday language. Let's begin with open and close. Two of the most common and practical verbs in spoken English. We open the door, open a book, open a message, open a window, open a shop, or open our heart to someone. We close the door, close a laptop, close a meeting, close a store for the day, or close our eyes for a moment of rest. Listen carefully. Could you open the window? It's warm in here. She opened her bag and took out a notebook. Please close the door quietly. He closed his laptop and stood up. The store closes at 9. These verbs are simple, but they help describe real movement and real moments very clearly. Now let's build them into a calm daily paragraph. This morning, I opened the curtains and let the early light come into the room. Then I opened the kitchen window because the air outside felt fresh and cool. After breakfast, I opened my notebook and started writing down a few plans for the day. In the evening, I closed my laptop earlier than usual because I felt tired. Then I closed the window, closed the bedroom door, and sat quietly for a few minutes before sleeping. And notice how natural that sounds. These are not special actions, but ordinary actions are exactly what daily English needs. Now let's bring in break and fix, because daily life is also full of small problems and simple solutions. A glass can break, a plan can break down, a phone charger can stop working, and then we try to fix the problem. We fix a chair, fix a computer setting, fix dinner quickly, or fix a mistake in a message. Listen carefully. My cup broke this morning. Don't worry. We can fix it. He is trying to fix the printer. I made a mistake, but I fixed it right away. Something broke in the kitchen last night. These are very useful verbs because life is not always smooth. And language should help you talk about problems too. Here is a realistic paragraph. Last week, the handle on my kitchen cabinet broke just as I was opening it. At first, I stood there and laughed because it happened so suddenly. Later, my brother came over with a small toolkit and helped me fix it. It was a tiny problem, but it felt good to solve it. On the same day, I also noticed a mistake in an email I had already sent, so I quickly wrote a second message to fix the misunderstanding. This is real English, not perfect life, not perfect language, just honest everyday moments explained simply. Now let's move to remember and forget. Two very human verbs that appear in daily speech constantly. We remember a birthday. Remember to call someone. Remember an old song. Or remember where we put something. We forget a password. Forget a name. Forget to buy milk. Or forget what we wanted to say. Listen carefully. I remembered your advice this morning. She forgot her umbrella on the bus. Please remember to lock the door. I always forget where I leave my glasses. He remembered my birthday. These verbs are important because they help you talk about the mind, routine, and memory, all of which are part of daily life. Now imagine this gentle paragraph. This morning, I went out and then suddenly stopped at the gate because I realized I had forgotten my keys. I walked back inside, laughing quietly at myself, and picked them up from the table. Later, I remembered that it was my friend's birthday, so I sent her a message before lunch. In the afternoon, I forgot one small item at the grocery store, but luckily I remembered it before getting too far away. These little moments happen to all of us, and when you can speak about them easily in English, your language begins to feel much more alive. Another beautiful and practical verb is choose, because daily life is full of choices. We choose what to wear, choose what to eat, choose a seat, choose a day for a trip, choose a movie, or choose to stay calm in a difficult moment. Listen carefully. I chose the blue shirt today. She chose a quiet table by the window. We need to choose a time for the meeting. He chose to walk instead of taking the bus. I can't choose between tea and coffee. This verb is so useful because it connects language to decisions. And people talk about decisions all the time. Let's make that natural with a daily paragraph. This morning, I stood in front of my closet for a minute trying to choose what to wear. The weather looked warm, but the air still felt cool. So in the end, I chose a light sweater and comfortable shoes. At lunch, my friend and I went to a small cafe and could not choose between two desserts. So we shared one instead. In the evening, I chose to stay home rather than go out. Not because I was unhappy, but because I needed a slow, quiet night. Can you hear the softness in that kind of English? It sounds natural because it comes from normal daily choices. Now let's talk about wear and carry. These are everyday verbs that help you speak about what people have on them or with them. We wear a coat, wear glasses, wear headphones, or wear comfortable shoes. We carry a bag, carry groceries, carry a child, or carry too many things at once. Listen carefully. She was wearing a green jacket. I usually wear glasses when I read. He carried 2 heavy bags upstairs. I'm carrying my lunch with me today. Oh, this is useful vocabulary because daily conversation often includes physical details. And these verbs help you describe them clearly. Here is a simple daily scene. This morning, I was wearing a soft gray sweater because the weather felt cooler than yesterday. On the way home, I was carrying a bag of fruit, a bottle of water, and a few things I had picked up from the store. By the time I reached my building, I wished I had brought a lighter bag. And when I got inside, I laughed and said to myself, next time, buy less at one time. These little descriptions may seem small, but they make your English more visual, more natural, and easier to understand. Now let's stay close to action with pick up and drop off. These are very common verb phrases in spoken English. We pick up a phone, pick up a child from school, pick up groceries, pick up a new habit, or pick up something from the floor. We drop off a package, drop off a friend at home, drop off dry cleaning, or drop off paperwork at an office. Listen carefully. I need to pick up my brother after work. She picked up the book and smiled. Can you drop this off on your way home? He dropped his friend off near the station. These phrases are useful because they appear in errands, family life, work, and transportation. Now, let's practice them naturally. After work. I had to pick up my nephew from school because my sister was busy. He came running toward me with his backpack half open and his hair a mess, and he looked so happy to see me. On the way home, we stopped at a bakery to pick up some bread, and later I dropped off a small package at my aunt's house. It was one of those ordinary afternoons full of little tasks. But those little tasks are exactly where useful English lives. Now let's work with sit and stand. Two basic verbs that help you describe posture: waiting, attention, and daily movement. We sit at a desk, sit on a sofa, sit by the window, or sit quietly with our thoughts. We stand in line, stand near the door, stand up to greet someone, or stand still for a moment. Listen carefully. Please sit down and relax. I stood in line for 10 minutes. She was sitting by the window with a cup of tea. He stood up as soon as the meeting ended. These verbs may look very simple, but they are essential because they appear in so many ordinary scenes. Here is a soft paragraph built around them. Yesterday evening, I sat near the window for a while and watched the street slowly grow quieter as the sun went down. Earlier that day, I had stood in line at the pharmacy longer than expected, and by the time I got home, I felt more tired than usual. So I sat down with a glass of water, took a deep breath, and let myself rest. Sometimes daily English becomes powerful, not because the verbs are difficult, but because the feeling inside them is real. Another pair of useful verbs is show and hide. We show someone a photo, show the way, show kindness, or show how something works. We hide a gift, hide our feelings, or hide something in a drawer. Listen carefully. Can you show me how to use this? She showed me her vacation pictures. He tried to hide his surprise. I want to show you something interesting. These verbs help you speak about sharing and holding back, both of which are very human parts of life. Let's make that real. Last weekend, my cousin came over and showed me photos from her trip to Boston. We sat together on the couch and laughed at the funny little moments she had captured. At one point, she showed me a picture of herself standing in heavy rain and holding a broken umbrella. And we laughed even more. Later that evening, I tried to hide a small gift for my niece in the hallway closet, but she found it almost immediately because children seem to notice everything. This kind of English feels alive because it follows real people and real moments. Now let's explore share. Such a warm and useful verb. We share food, share a table, share an idea, share good news, or share our feelings with someone we trust. Listen carefully. We shared a pizza for lunch. She shared her notes with me. I want to share something with you. They shared a taxi back home. He shared the good news with his family first. This verb matters because communication is not only about speaking, it is also about giving something of yourself, whether that is information, time, help, or emotion. Here is a gentle paragraph. At lunch today, my friend and I shared a small dessert because neither of us wanted too much sugar. Later, she shared an idea with me about how to organize my week better, and I realized it was exactly the kind of advice I needed. In the evening, my brother shared some good news with the family, and the whole room suddenly felt lighter, warmer, and full of relief. This is the beauty of everyday verbs. They help us speak about real emotional life in a clear, simple way. Now let's bring in send back and give back, because returning things is also part of ordinary life. We send back the wrong order, give back a book, give back money we borrowed, or send something back because it was damaged. Listen carefully. I need to give this book back tomorrow. She sent the shoes back because they were too small. Don't worry. I'll give you the pen back later. He had to send the package back to the store. These phrases are very useful because they appear in shopping, borrowing, and responsibility. Let's practice. A few days ago, I bought a shirt online. But when it arrived, the size was completely wrong, so I had to send it back and order another one. On the same day, I realized I still had a novel that my friend had lent me months earlier, so I sent her a message and promised to give it back the next time we met. These are such normal events. But when you can talk about them clearly, your English starts to feel ready for real life. Let's begin with wake up and fall asleep. These are two beautiful daily phrases because they frame the beginning and the end of so many ordinary days. We wake up early, wake up late, wake up feeling tired, or wake up to the sound of rain. We fall asleep on the sofa, fall asleep quickly, or fall asleep while listening to soft music. Yes, listen carefully. I woke up before my alarm today. She usually wakes up at 6. He fell asleep during the movie. I was so tired that I fell asleep right away. These expressions are common, warm, and deeply connected to daily routine. Now let's place them inside a natural paragraph. This morning, I woke up a little earlier than usual because I could hear birds outside my window. For a few quiet minutes, I just stayed in bed and listened. Then I got up slowly and started my day. Last night was very different. I had planned to read a few pages of a book, but I was so tired that I fell asleep almost immediately. The light was still on. The book was still open, and I had to laugh at myself when I noticed it later. These are exactly the small human moments that make English feel natural. Now let's move to lie down and rest, because in real life, people often need quiet, comfort, and recovery. We lie down after lunch. Lie down when we feel sick. Rest for a while. Rest our eyes, or rest after a long day. Listen carefully. I need to lie down for a few minutes. She rested after cleaning the whole house. He lay down on the couch and closed his eyes. You should rest if you feel tired. These phrases may sound simple, but they are very useful because people talk about energy and tiredness all the time. Here is a soft paragraph for practice. After I got home yesterday, I felt more tired than I expected. The day had been busy, the weather had been warm, and my mind felt full. So I lay down on the sofa for a while and let the room grow quiet around me. I did not sleep, but I rested, and that small rest changed my whole evening. Later, I got up, made tea, and felt ready to continue with the rest of my tasks. This is how a small verb can carry a full real-life feeling. Now, let's bring in run, because although it can mean running physically, it also appears in many practical daily expressions. We run to catch a bus, run a small business, run late for an appointment, or run out of something at home. Listen carefully. Di had to run to catch the train. She runs a bakery with her sister. I'm running late. Sorry. We ran out of milk this morning. This is a wonderful verb because it has both a physical meaning and several very common daily meanings, especially run late and run out of, which are heard all the time in spoken English. Let's practice that naturally. This morning, I was running late because I could not decide what to wear. Then, just as I was making coffee, I realized we had run out of sugar, so the whole morning felt a little rushed and a little messy. When I finally left the house, I had to run to catch the bus, and by the time I sat down, I was already laughing quietly at how the day had started. These are the moments when everyday English becomes very real. Not perfect, not polished, just honest. Now let's talk about walk and drive. These are daily movement verbs that help you describe transport, routine, and choice. We walk to work, walk around a park, walk home at sunset, drive to the store, drive across town, or drive someone to the station. Listen carefully. I walk to the corner store. She drives to work every morning. We took a walk after dinner. He drove his mother to the doctor's office. These verbs are basic, but they appear constantly because people are always talking about how they go somewhere. Here is a gentle daily paragraph. On weekends, I like to walk when I can. Not because I am in a hurry, but because walking helps me notice small things. the light on buildings, the smell of food from nearby cafes, the sound of children playing in a park. Last Saturday, my brother drove me to a garden center across town, and on the way back, we stopped for tea and talked about things we had not discussed in a long time. A simple trip became a meaningful afternoon. And these are exactly the kinds of moments that daily English needs to describe. Now let's explore check, because this is one of the most useful modern daily verbs. We check the time, check our phone, check the weather, check an email, check a bill, or check if the door is locked. Listen carefully. Let me check my schedule. She checked her phone 3 times during lunch. I need to check the weather before we leave. Did you check the address carefully? This verb is everywhere, especially in modern life. And when you know how to use it naturally, your English becomes much more practical. Now imagine this realistic paragraph. Before leaving the house this morning, I checked the weather and saw that rain was expected in the afternoon, so I took an umbrella with me. On the bus, I checked my messages and noticed one from a friend asking if I was free later. At work, I checked a document twice because I did not want to make a mistake. Then, before bed, I checked that the windows were closed and the front door was locked. This is a very ordinary day, but it is full of useful English. Now let's move into 2 verb phrases that are very common in conversations. Find out and figure out. These help you talk about learning, discovering, solving, and understanding. We find out some news, find out the truth, figure out a problem, figure out a route, or figure out what to do next. Listen carefully. I just found out about the change. She figured out how to open the file. We need to find out what time the store closes. He is trying to figure out why the printer is not working. These phrases sound very natural because they are used constantly when people deal with information and daily problems. Let's practice them in a calm paragraph. Yesterday afternoon, I found out that the meeting had been moved to Friday, not Thursday, which was a relief because I needed more time. Later, I spent almost 20 minutes trying to figure out why my headphones were not working. And in the end, the problem turned out to be very simple. They were not fully charged. Sometimes daily life is like that. Small confusion, followed by small understanding, and language should be able to carry both. Now let's bring in work and work on, because these phrases are extremely important in adult daily life, but also useful for students and learners. We work all day, work from home, work at a shop, or work on a project, work on our English, work on our confidence, or work on a habit we want to improve. Listen carefully. I worked from home today. She works in a hospital. We are working on something new. He is working on his pronunciation. This is a very strong verb because it connects effort, routine, growth, and responsibility. Here is a personal practice paragraph. These days, I am trying to work on small things instead of changing everything at once. I work on my schedule, my focus, and my English little by little. Some mornings, I work better in silence, and other mornings, I need music in the background to help me begin. Last week, I worked on organizing my notes, and although it took longer than I expected, it helped me feel calmer afterward. This kind of English is useful because it reflects real self-improvement, not just work in an office, but work in life. Now let's talk about deal with, because life is not always easy, and this phrase helps you speak about challenges. We deal with a problem, deal with stress, deal with noise, deal with customers, or deal with an unexpected situation. Listen carefully. I'll deal with it later. She knows how to deal with difficult people. We had to deal with a lot of traffic. He is dealing with a family problem right now. This is a very natural phrase, especially in adult conversation, because everyone has things to manage, solve, or face. Now listen to this real-life paragraph. This week has been a little heavier than usual, and I have had to deal with several small problems at once. My internet stopped working for a few hours. One appointment changed without warning, and I also had to deal with a long line at the pharmacy. None of these problems were serious, but together they made the day feel longer. Even so, I reminded myself to stay calm and handle one thing at a time. This is powerful English because it helps you talk honestly about real pressure. Another very useful phrase is end up. Native speakers use this constantly when describing results that were not planned exactly that way. We end up staying home, end up buying too much food, end up talking for hours, or end up liking something we did not expect to enjoy. Listen carefully. We ended up walking instead of driving. I only wanted one thing at the store, but ended up buying 5. She ended up staying longer than planned. He did not want dessert, but he ended up sharing mine. This phrase is so natural, and it gives your speaking a very real conversational feeling. Let's practice it naturally. Yesterday, I only planned to stop by the bookstore for 10 minutes. But I ended up staying almost an hour because I kept finding things I wanted to look at. After that, I was going to go straight home. But I ended up meeting a friend for coffee because she happened to be nearby. By the time I got home, the day had gone very differently from what I expected. But sometimes those unplanned changes make a day feel more alive. Now let's connect that with another helpful phrase. Turn out. This is useful when you want to talk about how something ended or what the real result was. We say, it turned out well. The food turned out great. The idea turned out to be helpful. Or the problem turned out to be small. Listen carefully. The cake turned out better than I expected. It turned out that we were both wrong. The weather turned out nice after all. Her first day turned out to be much easier than she feared. This phrase is common, gentle, and very expressive. Here is a soft paragraph with it. Last weekend, I tried a new recipe that looked a little difficult at first. I was not sure if I had enough ingredients, and I worried that the bread might not rise properly. But in the end, it turned out surprisingly well. My family liked it, and even I was a little proud of myself. On the same day, a problem with my phone turned out to be very minor, so the whole afternoon ended on a calmer note than it began. This is how daily English often works. Small worry, followed by simple relief. Now let's spend a little time with emotional everyday phrases. Calm down, cheer up, and slow down. These are warm and very common expressions. We calm down after a stressful moment, cheer someone up when they feel sad, or slow down when life feels too rushed. Listen carefully. Just calm down and take a breath. I tried to cheer her up with a funny story. We need to slow down a little. He calmed down after a few minutes. These expressions are very human, and they help your English sound more caring and natural. Let's place them into a realistic paragraph. Earlier this week, I felt overwhelmed by too many small tasks happening at once. So I made tea, sat down, and told myself to calm down. Nothing was impossible. I was just trying to do everything too quickly. Later that day, I called a friend who sounded tired and discouraged, so I tried to cheer her up by reminding her of all the things she had already done well. In moments like these, language is not only about information, it is also about kindness, support, and emotional balance. Now let's use hang on and hold on in a daily conversational way. These are very common when speaking on the phone or in quick daily situations. We say them when we need a moment, when we want someone to wait, or when we are looking for something. Listen carefully. Hang on a second. I'm almost ready. Hold on. Let me check. Can you hold on while I find my keys? These are small phrases, but they sound very natural, and they make your spoken English feel more relaxed and real. Here is a tiny real-life scene turned into a paragraph. This morning, my sister called me just as I was looking for my bag near the door. I answered, but then I had to say, "Hold on a second, I can't find my keys." She laughed, because this is the kind of thing that happens to me all the time. A minute later, I found them in my jacket pocket and said, "Okay, I'm back. Now tell me what happened." These everyday little phrases create the rhythm of real conversation. Let's begin with arrive and reach. These are two very practical verbs because daily life is full of movement and destination. We arrive at work, arrive home late, arrive early for a meeting, or arrive just in time. We reach a station, reach the office, reach the top shelf, or reach someone by phone. Listen carefully. I arrived at the station a little early. She reached home safely. We finally arrived after a long drive. I tried to call him, but I couldn't reach him. These verbs help you describe travel, timing, and contact, all of which are part of everyday conversation. Now, let's place them inside a real daily paragraph. Yesterday morning, I left the house later than I wanted. So I was worried I would arrive late for my appointment. The bus moved slowly through traffic, and I kept checking the time. But in the end, I arrived only a few minutes late, which was not too bad. Later that evening, my mother sent me a message asking me to call when I reached home, and when I finally did. She said she had been trying to reach me for the last half hour. These are such normal events, but they give you exactly the kind of English you need in real life. Now let's move to catch and miss. These are extremely common in daily English. We catch a bus, catch a train, catch someone's attention, or catch a cold. We miss a bus, miss a call, miss a chance, miss a friend, or miss a meal because we were too busy. Listen carefully. I need to catch the next train. She missed the bus by 2 minutes. I missed your call earlier. He caught a cold last week. I really miss my old neighborhood. These verbs are practical, emotional, and full of daily meaning. Here is a natural paragraph for practice. This morning, I almost missed the bus because I could not find my wallet, and for a moment, I thought the whole day would begin badly. But then I hurried out the door and managed to catch it just in time. On the ride downtown, I looked at my phone and saw that I had missed 2 calls from my cousin. Later, when I called her back, she laughed and said it was nothing urgent, or she had only wanted to ask if I missed the family dinners we used to have every Sunday. That single conversation carried timing, movement, and emotion, all through very simple verbs. Now let's work with borrow and lend. These are beautiful everyday verbs because people are always borrowing and lending small things. We borrow a pen, borrow a book, borrow money for lunch, or borrow time from a busy day to help someone. We lend a charger, lend a jacket, lend a hand, or lend a book to a friend. Listen carefully. Can I borrow your pen for a minute? She lent me a novel last month. I borrowed my brother's umbrella. He asked if I could lend him some cash until tomorrow. These verbs matter because they help you speak politely and clearly in everyday situations. Now imagine this simple daily paragraph. At work today, I realized I had left my notebook at home, so I asked a coworker if I could borrow a few sheets of paper. She smiled and said, "Of course." And later she even lent me an extra pen because mine had stopped working. In the evening, I remembered that I still had a book my friend had lent me weeks ago. So I sent her a message and promised I would bring it the next time we met. These are such ordinary moments, and that is exactly why this language is worth learning deeply. Now let's talk about order, because daily English often includes food, services, shopping, and small choices. We order lunch, order coffee, order something online, or order extra fries without really planning to. Listen carefully. I ordered a sandwich and tea. She ordered a new pair of shoes online. We need to order dinner before the restaurant closes. He ordered the same thing as me. This verb is very useful because it connects to some of the most common situations in adult daily life, especially cafes, restaurants, and online shopping. Here is a warm paragraph for practice. Last Friday, I met a friend at a small restaurant after work. We sat by the window, looked over the menu, and both took too long to decide what to order. In the end, I ordered soup and bread, and she ordered pasta with lemon water. Later, after I got home, I remembered that I also needed a few things for the kitchen, so I ordered them online before bed. One simple verb, two very ordinary situations, and both sound completely natural. Now let's bring in serve. This verb is useful in restaurants, at home, and even in more general explanations. We serve dinner, serve coffee to guests, or say that a room serves as an office during the day. Listen carefully. They served lunch at 1. My aunt served tea with small cakes. This room serves as both a guest room and a study. The food was served quickly. This is a lovely verb because it gives your English a slightly polished but still very natural feeling, especially when talking about meals and hospitality. Now listen to this gentle paragraph. On Sunday, my family gathered at my aunt's house for lunch. She always serves food with such warmth that even simple dishes feel special. First, she served soup, then rice, vegetables, and grilled chicken. And after that, she brought fruit and tea. No one was in a hurry, and we stayed at the table much longer than usual, talking and laughing in a way that made the whole day feel lighter. This kind of daily scene is simple, but it gives you rich, useful English. Now let's move to fill and empty. These are very practical verbs. We fill a bottle with water, fill the car with gas, fill a form, fill the room with music, or fill a bag with groceries. We empty a cup, empty a drawer, empty the trash, or empty our pockets before washing clothes. Listen carefully. Please fill this bottle for me. She filled out the form online. I need to empty the trash tonight. He emptied his bag onto the table looking for his keys. These verbs are common because so much of daily life involves putting things in and taking things out, literally and sometimes emotionally too. Here is a daily life paragraph. This morning, before leaving the house, I filled my water bottle and put it in my bag. Then I realized the kitchen trash was already too full, so I emptied it before going out. At the office, I had to fill out a short form before a meeting, and later, when I got home, I emptied my pockets and found a receipt, 2 coins, and a note I had forgotten to read. These are small actions, but daily English is built from small actions exactly like these. Now, let's talk about save and waste, because time, money, energy, and attention matter to everyone. We save money, save time, save a file, save a seat, or save leftovers for later. We waste time, waste food, waste water, or waste energy on things that do not matter. Listen carefully. I'm trying to save more money this month. She saved me a seat near the front. Please save the document before closing it. We wasted a lot of time waiting. I do not want to waste food. These verbs are very useful because they connect daily habits to practical thinking, and people talk about that all the time. Now let's make them feel personal. These days, I am trying to save both time and energy where I can. I prepare a few things the night before so the morning feels less rushed. And I try not to waste too much time scrolling through my phone without thinking. Yesterday, my friend saved me a seat at a crowded cafe, which was kind because the place filled up quickly. In the evening, I saved some soup for the next day instead of throwing it away. Little choices like these may seem small, but they shape daily life. And this kind of language helps you speak about them clearly. Now let's bring in care about and take care of. These are very warm and important daily phrases. We care about our family, care about our health, care about doing something well, or care about how other people feel. We take care of children, take care of a pet, take care of ourselves, or take care of a problem before it grows. Listen carefully. I really care about this work. She takes care of her grandmother. We need to take care of ourselves too. He cares about what people think. Where these expressions bring feeling and responsibility into your English, and they make your speaking sound more human. Here is a gentle paragraph. My older sister has always been the kind of person who takes care of everyone. She remembers birthdays, checks in when someone seems quiet, and notices little things other people miss. Watching her has taught me that taking care of people is not always about big actions. Sometimes it is just a message, a meal, or a few minutes of patient listening. These days, I am also trying to take better care of myself, to rest when I need rest, to drink more water, and to care less about doing everything perfectly. This is honest daily English. Soft, thoughtful, and real. Mina, now let's move to belong. This is a useful verb for talking about place, ownership, and even emotional connection. Something belongs on a shelf, belongs to your brother, or belongs in the kitchen. A person can also feel that they belong somewhere, in a group, in a city, or in a quiet, familiar place. Listen carefully. This book belongs to Julia. These shoes do not belong in the hallway. Sometimes I feel like I belong here. That blue folder belongs on my desk. This verb is small, but it has both practical and emotional uses, which makes it very valuable. Now imagine this paragraph. Every time I clean my room, I notice how many little things are not where they belong. A pen is under the bed. A cup is on the bookshelf. And a scarf somehow ends up in the kitchen. So I take a few quiet minutes to put everything back where it belongs. And once I do that, the whole space feels calmer. Later, when I sit down with tea and music, I sometimes feel that I belong most in those simple, quiet moments when nothing dramatic is happening and everything feels gently in place. Now let's use prefer, because daily life is full of preferences. We prefer tea to coffee, prefer mornings to late nights, prefer walking when the weather is nice, or prefer a quiet evening to a loud, crowded place. Listen carefully. I prefer simple food. She prefers to work in silence. We prefer taking the train. He prefers staying home on Sundays. This verb is beautiful because it lets your English carry personality, not just action, but taste, habit, and choice. Here is a natural paragraph. I have learned that I prefer slow mornings to rushed ones. Even if I wake up early, I like to sit quietly for a few minutes before I begin doing anything else. I also prefer small cafes where the music is soft and the tables are not too close together. My friend is very different. She prefers busy places, loud laughter, and long spontaneous evenings with many people. And I think that is part of why our conversations are always interesting. This kind of English helps you speak more like a real person. Because real people talk about what they like and prefer all the time. Now let's bring in join, another very useful daily verb. We join a meeting, join friends for dinner, join a class, join a conversation, or join someone for a short walk. Listen carefully. Are you joining us for lunch? She joined the meeting a little late. I might join a gym next month. He joined us for coffee after work. This verb is common because it is about participation, and daily life is full of moments when we choose whether to be part of something. Here is a soft daily paragraph. Yesterday evening, a few friends planned to meet for dinner after work, and at first I thought I was too tired to join them. But after sitting at home for 20 minutes, I changed my mind and decided to go. I joined them a little late, but they had already ordered tea and saved a chair for me. By the end of the evening, I was glad I went, because sometimes joining people, even when you feel tired, can bring back your energy in a quiet, unexpected way. Now let's do another gentle practice paragraph together. Think about one ordinary day and try to speak it softly in English. I arrived at work a little late, but I didn't miss the meeting. I borrowed a pen from someone and lent my charger to a friend. At lunch, I ordered soup. Later, I filled my water bottle and emptied my bag on the desk looking for a receipt. I'm trying to save more time these days and not waste my evenings. I care about my family and try to take care of myself too. I prefer quiet nights. But yesterday I joined some friends for dinner. Even if your own version is short, that is still meaningful practice because it is built from true daily life. Let's begin with plan and prepare. These are essential verbs because daily life is full of arranging, organizing, and getting ready for things. We plan a trip, plan the week, plan dinner, or plan to call someone later. We prepare breakfast, prepare for a meeting, prepare a bag the night before, or prepare ourselves mentally for a busy day. Listen carefully. I'm planning my weekend already. She ourselves mentally for a busy day. Listen carefully. I'm planning my weekend already. She prepared lunch before noon. We need to prepare for the meeting. He planned a surprise for his sister. These verbs help you speak about intention, readiness, and thoughtful action. And that makes them very useful in daily conversation. Now let's build that into a warm daily paragraph. On Sunday evenings, I like to plan the coming week in a simple, quiet way. I do not make a perfect schedule, but I write down the most important things, and that helps my mind feel calmer. I also try to prepare a few small things before bed, like my clothes, my bag, and sometimes even breakfast for the next morning. When I prepare early, the next day feels softer, less rushed, and more manageable. These are such normal habits, but they create exactly the kind of English that sounds real and useful. Now let's move to pack and unpack, because these verbs appear in travel, moving, shopping, and daily routines too. We pack a bag for work, pack a suitcase for a trip, pack lunch for school, or pack things into boxes when moving house. We unpack groceries, unpack a suitcase, or unpack a delivery when it arrives. Listen carefully. I packed my bag last night. She unpacked the groceries in the kitchen. We still haven't unpacked from the trip. He packed a sandwich for later. These verbs are simple, visual, and tied closely to daily action, which makes them easy to remember and very useful to practice. Here is a natural paragraph for you. Last Friday, I packed a small bag because I was going to spend the night at my cousin's house. I did not need much, just a sweater, a book, my charger, and a toothbrush. When I came back the next day, I left the bag near the bed and forgot about it for hours. Later in the evening, I finally unpacked everything and put it back where it belonged. That kind of lazy unpacking after a short trip is something many people understand immediately. And that is what makes the English feel alive. Now let's talk about pick and choose in a slightly different way. Because although they are similar, they often feel a little different in daily English. We choose when the decision feels a bit more thoughtful, and we pick when the action feels quicker or more casual. We choose a school, choose a color, but pick up a snack, pick a movie, or pick a seat near the window. Listen carefully. I chose the earlier train. She picked a table in the corner. Can you help me choose a gift? He picked the red one without thinking too much. Learning these little differences helps your English sound more natural, even when the meanings are close. Now let's practice that with a smooth paragraph. Yesterday, I went to a bookstore to choose a birthday gift for my friend. At first, I walked slowly from shelf to shelf and looked at different novels. But after a while, I picked one that felt warm, thoughtful, and very much like her. Then I picked a simple card and wrote a short message inside. It was not a big shopping trip, but it felt meaningful, and all of it can be described with very simple English when you know how these everyday verbs work together. Now, let's bring in notice. This is a beautiful verb because it helps you talk about small observations, the little things people see, feel, or become aware of. We notice a smell. Notice that the room is quiet. Notice someone's new haircut. Or notice that we are getting tired. Listen carefully. I noticed the lights were still on. She noticed I looked worried. We didn't notice the time passing. He noticed a mistake in the report. This verb makes your English more thoughtful because it allows you to speak not only about actions, but also about awareness. Here's a quiet paragraph built around it. This morning, when I stepped outside, I immediately noticed how cool the air felt compared with yesterday. On the bus, I noticed a child sleeping quietly on his father's shoulder, and later at work. I noticed that one of my coworkers seemed quieter than usual. These are small details, easy to miss. But when you begin to notice them, daily life feels richer, and English becomes richer too. Because now you can speak not only about what happened, but also about what you observed inside those moments. Now let's talk about realize, another important daily verb, because people often speak about moments of understanding, sudden thought, or quiet discovery. We realize we are late. Realize we forgot something. Realize how tired we are. Or realize that a problem is smaller than we feared. Listen carefully. I realized my phone was missing. She suddenly realized the door was unlocked. We realized we had come to the wrong place. He realized he needed more rest. This verb is extremely useful because real life is full of those moments when something becomes clear all at once. Let's place that into a natural paragraph. Yesterday afternoon, I was halfway to the station when I suddenly realized I had left my water bottle on the kitchen table. For a second, I thought about going back. But then I decided it was not worth missing the train. Later that evening, while talking to a friend, I realized how tired I had been all week, not in a dramatic way. Just in the quiet way your body tells you it needs more sleep. This kind of language is simple, but it feels very human. And that is always what we want. Now let's bring in allow and let, because both are common in daily English. Though let often sounds more casual and natural in everyday speech, we let someone know something. Let a child stay up late. Let fresh air into a room. Or let ourselves rest for a while. We also allow extra time. Allow for mistakes, or say that something does not allow enough space. Listen carefully. Let me know when you arrive. She let the kids play outside. I opened the window to let some air in. This job does not allow much free time. These are very useful expressions because they appear naturally in daily speech, especially let me know, which is one of the most common phrases in English. Here is a gentle paragraph. Before leaving the office, I told my friend to let me know if the meeting time changed. Later, when I got home. I opened the balcony door to let the cool evening air in. For once, I also let myself rest without feeling guilty about it. I made tea, sat quietly, and decided that not every hour of the day had to be productive. This kind of everyday English carries practical meaning, but it also carries emotional balance, and that makes it especially valuable. Now let's spend some time with avoid, because in daily life, people often talk about what they try not to do. We avoid traffic, avoid eating too late, avoid difficult people, avoid wasting money, or avoid checking our phone every 5 minutes. Listen carefully. I try to avoid the main road at rush hour. She avoids too much sugar. We need to avoid making the same mistake again. He avoided the question completely. This is such a practical verb because it shows choice, habit, and intention all in one. Here is a natural paragraph for practice. These days, I am trying to avoid rushing through the morning because when I hurry too much, I forget things, spill coffee, and start the day feeling tense. I also try to avoid checking my phone the moment I wake up because it fills my head too quickly. Instead, I give myself a few quiet minutes first, and that small change helps more than I expected. This kind of English is powerful because it lets you talk clearly about habits you want to protect and habits you want to change. Now let's use expect and hope. All because everyday life is full of expectations and hopes. We expect a package, expect guests at 7, expect a busy week, or expect better weather tomorrow. We hope for a quiet evening, hope someone feels better, hope to see a friend soon, or hope everything goes smoothly. Listen carefully. I expect the order to arrive tomorrow. She is expecting a call this afternoon. We hope the weather stays nice. He hopes to finish early. These verbs are important because they help you speak about the future in a natural, emotional way. Not only what may happen, but what you wish for. Here is a soft paragraph built around them. Tomorrow is going to be a full day, and I expect it to be a little tiring. Now I have 2 errands to do, 1 call to make, and a few things to finish at home. Still, I hope the day feels steady rather than stressful. I also hope I can finish everything early enough to have a quiet evening. Sometimes that is all we really hope for. Not something dramatic, just enough time, enough peace, and enough energy to end the day well. Now let's bring in suppose and guess. These are wonderful daily speaking verbs because people often use them when they are unsure, making a soft opinion, or speaking casually. We say, I suppose that makes sense. I guess we can leave now. I guess it depends. Or I suppose you're right. Listen carefully. I guess I'll make dinner at home. And she said she was tired. And I suppose that's understandable. I guess we should start soon. These phrases make spoken English sound more natural and relaxed because not every sentence in real life sounds certain and formal. Let's practice that with a conversational paragraph. It looked like rain in the afternoon, so I guessed it would be better to leave early rather than wait until later. My brother said the sky might clear up, and I suppose he could have been right, but I still took an umbrella just in case. In the end, it only rained for 10 minutes, and we both laughed about it afterward. This is the kind of easy, uncertain, human English that appears in normal conversation all the time. Now let's talk about mean, because it is one of the most useful verbs in English, and it appears in many common daily patterns. Something means something in definition. Someone means what they say, or a situation means we need to change our plans. We also say, what do you mean? I didn't mean to upset you. That means we have to leave now. Listen carefully. What does this word mean? I didn't mean to interrupt. If the store is closed, that means we need another plan. She means well, even if she sounds serious. This verb is everywhere, and knowing how to use it naturally can help your speaking tremendously. Here is a daily paragraph. Earlier today, my friend sent me a short message that simply said, "We need to talk later." For a second, I worried because that message can mean many different things depending on the tone. But when we finally spoke, she only meant that she needed advice about a small work problem. I laughed with relief and told her she should not send messages like that without context. These are very real moments, and simple verbs like mean help you describe them clearly. Now let's bring in sound and look in the sense of impressions, because daily English often includes quick reactions and soft judgments. We say, that sounds good. That sounds strange. You look tired. The plan looks fine. Or dinner looks great. Listen carefully. That sounds like a good idea. You look busy. This soup looks delicious. Her voice sounded tired on the phone. These verbs are essential because real conversation is full of reactions to what we hear and see. And these phrases help you sound natural immediately. Here is a warm paragraph. When my friend suggested a quiet cafe by the river, I said that sounds perfect because I had no energy for a loud, crowded place. When I arrived, she looked tired but happy, and the tea she ordered looked so good that I decided to get the same thing. As we talked, her voice sounded calmer than it had on the phone earlier, and by the end of the evening, both of us felt lighter. This is daily English at its best. Simple, observant, and full of life. Now let's use matter, because this little verb carries a lot of meaning. We say something matters. It does not matter. What matters most is this, or it matters to me. Listen carefully. It doesn't matter if we are 5 minutes late. What matters is that you're here now. This detail really matters. It matters to me that everyone feels comfortable. This verb is very helpful because it lets you express importance, value, and emotional weight in a simple way. Here is a thoughtful paragraph. As I get older, I notice that smaller things matter more to me than they used to. A quiet hour in the evening matters. A kind message matters. Enough sleep matters. And simple, honest conversation matters. 2. I still care about getting things done, of course. But I also know now that not everything deserves the same amount of worry. Some things matter deeply, and some things really do not. This kind of language helps your English become more reflective, and that adds depth to even the simplest speaking practice. Let's begin with remind. This is one of the most useful everyday verbs because people are always helping each other remember things. We remind someone about a meeting, remind a child to wear a jacket, remind ourselves to stay calm, or say that something reminds us of someone or something from the past. Listen carefully. Please remind me to call my aunt. This song reminds me of summer. She reminded her brother about the appointment. I need to remind myself to drink more water. This verb is practical, emotional, and very common, and it can be used in both simple daily tasks and more personal reflections. Here is a gentle paragraph for practice. This morning, before leaving the house, I wrote a small note for myself because I needed to remember 2 important things. Buy fruit and call the dentist later. When I looked at the note again, it reminded me of how often little written messages help keep my day steady. In the afternoon, my friend sent me a text to remind me about dinner plans, and I smiled because without her message, I might have forgotten the time completely. These are tiny moments, but they happen in real life all the time. And that is why remind matters so much. Now let's move to mention, because this is another beautiful daily verb. We mention an idea, mention a problem, mention someone's name in conversation, or mention something quickly without making it the main subject. Listen carefully. She mentioned your name earlier. I forgot to mention one small detail. He mentioned that the store might close early. Don't mention it. This phrase can even be used politely after someone says thank you. Mention helps your English sound very natural because real conversations often include small side details, well, not just big clear statements. Let's place that into a natural paragraph. Yesterday, I met a friend for tea, and while we were talking about work, she suddenly mentioned a small bakery near my street that she thought I would like. I had never heard of it before, and later that evening, I walked there just to see it for myself. She also mentioned that one of our old classmates had moved back to town. And for a moment, we both fell quiet, remembering other years, other versions of ourselves, and how much life can change while still feeling strangely familiar. This is the kind of gentle, everyday English that sounds natural because it follows the shape of real conversation. Now let's bring in suggest and recommend. These are very useful when giving ideas, advice, or soft guidance. We suggest leaving early, suggest a different plan, recommend a movie, recommend a restaurant, or recommend getting more rest. Listen carefully. I suggest we leave before traffic gets worse. She recommended a book to me. Can you recommend a good cafe nearby? He suggested taking the train instead. These verbs make your English sound thoughtful and helpful. And people use them all the time in both casual and practical situations. Here is a daily life paragraph for you. Last weekend, I wanted to meet a friend somewhere quiet, but I could not decide where to go. My sister suggested a small cafe on the other side of town. Boy, and then she recommended a lemon cake there that she said was especially good. In the end, we followed her suggestion, and the whole afternoon turned out beautifully. The place was calm, the tea was hot, and the cake really was worth trying. This is exactly how recommendation language works in daily life. Simple, soft, and useful. Now, let's talk about offer, because this is one of the warmest verbs in everyday English. We offer help, offer someone a seat, offer tea to a guest, offer to carry a bag, or offer an idea when someone seems unsure. Listen carefully. He offered to help with the boxes. She offered me some coffee. I can offer you a ride if you want. They offered a discount at the counter. This verb matters because it brings generosity and politeness into your English. And those qualities are part of natural communication too. Now imagine this calm paragraph. This afternoon, I stopped at a small shop on my way home, and when the cashier saw that I was holding too many things, she kindly offered me a basket. It was such a small gesture, but it made everything easier. Later, when I reached my building, my neighbor saw me carrying groceries and offered to help with the heavier bag. I thanked her and accepted. And as we walked upstairs together, we ended up talking about the weather, the neighborhood, and how quickly the year seems to be moving. So often, a real English begins in these small offered moments. Now let's bring in accept and refuse, because daily life often requires us to say yes or no politely. We accept an invitation, accept help, accept an apology, or accept that something did not go as planned. We refuse an offer, refuse more food because we are full, or refuse to do something that does not feel right. Listen carefully. She accepted the invitation right away. He refused another cup of coffee. I accepted her help because I was tired. They refused to change their mind. These verbs help you speak clearly about choice, agreement, and boundaries. which are all important in real communication. Here is a natural paragraph for practice. Last night, my cousin invited me to join the family for dinner. At first, I almost refused because I felt tired after a long day. But then I accepted because I knew I would regret staying home alone. In the end, I was glad I went. The food was simple and warm. The conversation was easy. And the whole evening reminded me that sometimes accepting an invitation is exactly what your heart needs. On another day, though, refusing can be just as healthy, especially when rest matters more than being busy. This is why these verbs are so useful. They let you speak honestly about your choices. Now let's talk about promise. This is a very human verb. We promise to call later. Promise to be on time. Promise to keep a secret. Or promise ourselves that we will try again tomorrow. Listen carefully. I promise I'll send it tonight. She promised to visit next week. He promised himself he would rest more. We all make small promises during daily life, and this verb helps express commitment in a simple, warm way. It appears often in family conversations, friendships, and even the quiet, private conversations people have with themselves. Let's make that feel real. A few days ago, I borrowed a book from my friend and promised I would return it by Friday. Then the week became busier than expected, and I almost forgot. But on Thursday night, I put the book by the door so I would remember it in the morning. In another quiet way. I also made a promise to myself that I would stop staying awake too late on my phone. It may sound like a small promise, but sometimes the promises we make to ourselves are the ones that matter most. This kind of English feels close to life because it is close to life. Now let's move to apologize and forgive. These are deeply important verbs because no real life is free from mistakes. We apologize for being late. Apologize for forgetting something. Apologize for speaking too sharply. And forgive a friend. Forgive ourselves. Or forgive a misunderstanding after it is past. Listen carefully. I need to apologize for yesterday. She apologized for the delay. He forgave me right away. Mom, sometimes it takes time to forgive. These verbs are emotional, honest, and very useful because real communication is not only about perfect sentences. It is also about repairing small human moments. Here is a soft paragraph for practice. Yesterday. I arrived late to meet a friend because the bus was delayed and my phone battery was nearly dead. As soon as I saw her, I apologized. Not in a dramatic way, but sincerely, because I knew she had been waiting. She smiled and said it was fine, and then she told me she had used the extra time to read. That simple kindness made me feel lighter. Later, I thought about how much easier life becomes when people know how to apologize clearly and forgive gently. These are not just language skills. They are life skills too. Now let's talk about trust, because trust is part of many everyday relationships. We trust a friend, trust our own judgment, trust someone with important information, or trust that things will work out in the end. Listen carefully. I trust her opinion. He trusted me with the keys. Try to trust yourself a little more. It takes time to build trust. This verb is simple, but it carries great emotional weight, and it appears naturally in conversations about friendship, work, family, and decision-making. Here is a natural paragraph. When I am unsure about something important, there are only a few people whose advice I truly trust. Not because they always agree with me, but because they speak honestly and calmly. Last month, I had to make a difficult decision about work, and before deciding, I called a friend I have trusted for years. She listened without rushing me, asked good questions, and helped me hear my own thoughts more clearly. Good English should be able to speak about those moments too. The quiet, serious ones, not just the practical ones. Now let's bring in agree and disagree, because daily life includes opinions all the time. We agree on a plan, agree with an idea, disagree about a movie, or disagree politely in conversation. Listen carefully. I agree with you. She disagreed but stayed calm. We agreed to meet at 7. He doesn't always agree with his brother. These verbs are very useful because real conversation often includes different views, and learning to express agreement or disagreement naturally makes your English stronger and more flexible. Let's practice that with a simple paragraph. My sister and I usually agree about small things, like what kind of music to play during dinner or which cafe has the best soup. But sometimes we disagree about how to spend a free weekend. She likes making plans and going out, while I often prefer staying home and resting. Even when we disagree, though, our conversations stay warm, because not every difference has to become a problem. This is a very real part of everyday English, or expressing opinion while still sounding kind. Now let's move to depend on, because this phrase appears constantly in real speech. Things depend on the weather, depend on time, depend on money, depend on energy, or depend on how someone feels that day. Listen carefully. It depends on the traffic. Dinner depends on what's in the fridge. Whether I go out or not depends on how tired I am. This phrase is so common because life is full of uncertainty, and people often answer questions in this soft, flexible way instead of giving a strong, fixed answer. Here is a calm paragraph built around it. My weekend plans often depend on how the week has gone. If the days have been full and noisy, then by Friday evening, I usually want something quiet. Maybe a walk. Maybe tea with one close friend. Maybe just a clean room and an early night. But if the week has felt calm already, then I might want to go somewhere different and see more people. So many small decisions in life depend on energy, mood, weather, and timing, and this phrase helps you speak about that naturally. Now let's bring in manage to, because this is a very useful everyday phrase for talking about success in ordinary situations. We managed to catch the bus, managed to finish our work, managed to call someone back, or managed to stay calm during a stressful moment. Listen carefully. I managed to get everything done. She managed to find a parking space. We somehow managed to arrive on time. He didn't manage to sleep much last night. This phrase sounds very natural because it often carries the feeling that something was not easy, but was possible in the end. Here is a daily life paragraph. Yesterday was one of those days when everything seemed slightly difficult. The traffic was slow, the store was crowded, and my phone kept freezing at the worst possible moments. Even so, I managed to finish my errands, managed to answer the most important messages, and managed to get home before dark. By the time I took off my shoes and sat down, I felt tired, but also quietly proud, because sometimes a good day is simply a day you manage to get through with patience. This is honest English, and honest English stays in the mind. Now let's talk about keep up and give up, because these phrases are especially meaningful for learners. We keep up with work, keep up with messages, keep up with a fast conversation, or keep up with a good habit. We give up when we stop trying, stop carrying something, or decide something is not worth continuing. Listen carefully. I'm trying to keep up with my reading. She couldn't keep up with the group. Don't give up. He almost gave up halfway through. These phrases are powerful because they speak directly to effort, struggle, and persistence, all of which are part of real learning and real life. Here is a soft personal paragraph. Some weeks feel easy, and other weeks feel heavy. During the heavy ones, I remind myself that I do not need to do everything perfectly. I only need to keep up in some small, honest way. Maybe that means 10 minutes of study instead of an hour. Maybe it means writing one paragraph instead of many. The important thing is not to give up completely just because the day is difficult. Learning grows through continuity, even quiet continuity. And that is true not only for English, but for many things in life. Let's begin with compare, because people compare things all the time. We compare prices. Compare two ideas. Compare today with yesterday. Compare one city with another. Shaokshi, or compare how we feel now with how we felt a year ago. Listen carefully. I compared the two bags before buying one. She compared hotel prices online. It's hard not to compare yourself to others sometimes. This apartment feels smaller when I compare it to the last one. This verb is useful because daily life is full of choices, and choices often involve comparison, even when we do not notice it. Here is a soft paragraph for practice. Yesterday, I stood in the store for several minutes comparing two notebooks. One was cheaper, but the paper felt thin, and the other one cost a little more, but looked stronger and cleaner. In the end, I chose the second one because I knew I would use it every day. Later, while talking to a friend, we compared our routines and realized how different our mornings are. She likes noise and movement early in the day, while I need quiet and slowness before I can think clearly. This is exactly the kind of English people use in real conversations. Simple, useful, and close to real life. Now, let's move to fit and match, because these are very common in daily life too. Clothes fit, shoes fit, a chair fits in a corner, and a schedule fits around someone's time. Colors match, socks match, a bag matches a coat, or an idea matches what we need. Listen carefully. These shoes fit perfectly. That table won't fit in the kitchen. Your scarf matches your sweater. We need to find a time that fits everyone's schedule. These verbs are practical, visual, and very helpful because people talk about size, style, time, and suitability every day. Now imagine this natural paragraph. This morning, I tried on 2 jackets before leaving the house. The first one still fit, but it felt too warm for the weather. The second one fit better with the day and matched my shoes more naturally. Later, at work, we tried to arrange a short meeting, but it was difficult to find an hour that fit everyone's schedule. In the end, we chose a time just before lunch, and somehow that matched everybody's plans well enough. These are very ordinary moments, and that is exactly why they are worth practicing in English. Now let's bring in suit, because this is another wonderful daily verb when you want to talk about what feels right for a person, a plan, or a situation. A color suits someone. A time suits your schedule. A quiet place suits your mood. Or a lighter meal suits a warm evening. Listen carefully. That color really suits you. Friday suits me better than Thursday. A quiet cafe suits this kind of conversation. This simple routine suits my life these days. This word is especially useful because it helps your English sound a little more natural and a little more polished without becoming difficult. Here is a calm paragraph. As I have grown older, I have started noticing what truly suits me and what does not. Loud restaurants do not suit my evenings anymore, especially after a long day. I prefer smaller places where conversation can happen without effort. In the same way, rushing from one task to another no longer suits the kind of life I want to build. I still work hard, of course, but I try to create a rhythm that suits my energy better. This is the kind of English that helps you speak honestly about preference, comfort, and lifestyle. Now, let's talk about handle, because daily life often requires us to manage small problems, emotions, duties, and pressure. We handle stress, handle a situation, handle a customer, and handle a child's questions, or handle a busy afternoon one step at a time. Listen carefully. I can handle it. She handled the problem calmly. He handles pressure better than I do. I need a few minutes before I can handle another task. This is a very useful verb because it helps you sound capable, practical, and emotionally aware, all at the same time. Here is a realistic paragraph. Earlier this week, I had one of those afternoons when everything seemed to happen at once. My phone kept ringing. 2 emails needed quick replies. And someone knocked at the door just as I was trying to finish a message. For a moment, I felt overwhelmed. But then I stopped, took a breath, and handled one thing at a time. I answered the door, finished the email, and called the next person back later. Sometimes handling life well is not about speed. It is about calm order. And this kind of English helps you describe that clearly. Now let's bring in arrange and cancel, because plans are always being made, changed, delayed, or dropped completely. We arrange to meet someone, arrange flowers in a vase, arrange a taxi, or arrange our day more carefully. We cancel a meeting, cancel dinner plans, cancel a reservation, or cancel a trip because something unexpected happens. Listen carefully. We arranged to meet at 6. She arranged the books by color. I had to cancel the appointment. They canceled the picnic because of the rain. These verbs are extremely common, especially in adult daily life, because people are always organizing and reorganizing things. Let's turn that into a simple daily paragraph. Last Thursday, I arranged to meet a friend after work, and we had planned to sit outside at a small cafe we both like. But around 4 p.m, dark clouds gathered and the wind became stronger. So we decided to cancel the outdoor plan and meet somewhere inside instead. It was a small change, but it reminded me how often daily life moves through arrangement and adjustment. We make plans. The day changes. And then we respond. That rhythm is very natural. And English should be able to follow it. Now let's move to postpone. Because sometimes we do not cancel something completely. We only move it to a later time. We postpone a meeting. Postpone cleaning until tomorrow. Postpone a decision. Or postpone a trip until the weather improves. Listen carefully. We had to postpone the meeting. I postponed the shopping until the evening. She keeps postponing that phone call. They postponed their visit for a week. This verb is very practical, and it helps your English sound clear and precise when talking about timing. Here is a soft paragraph. This weekend, I had planned to clean out a drawer that has been full of old papers for months. But I kept finding other small things to do first. By afternoon, I admitted to myself that I was only postponing it because I did not feel like dealing with the mess. So instead of pretending I would do it later that same day, I decided honestly to postpone it until next Saturday. And strangely, that clear decision made me feel lighter. Sometimes daily English becomes more natural when it follows the truth of human behavior. Not what sounds ideal, but what actually happens, Now, let's bring in continue, because life, work, learning, and conversation all move forward through continuation. We continue reading, continue walking, continue a discussion, continue practicing. So, or continue trying even when progress feels slow. Listen carefully. Please continue. I'm listening. She continued working after lunch. We need to continue this conversation later. He continued practicing even when it felt difficult. This is one of the most important verbs for learners, because learning anything well requires gentle continuation, not dramatic effort for one day, but steady return over time. Here is a personal paragraph. There are many days when progress feels quiet, almost invisible, and on those days, the most important thing is simply to continue reading, continue listening, continue speaking softly to yourself, continue learning a little even if the day is busy. I have learned that not every study session has to feel exciting to be valuable. Sometimes the deepest progress comes from the days when you almost stop, but decide to continue anyway. This kind of English is simple, but I think it matters deeply because it touches the truth of how growth really works. Now let's use improve, because improvement is one of the most meaningful words in daily learning. We improve our English, improve our health, improve a recipe, improve a routine, or improve the way we manage our time. Listen carefully. My listening has improved. She wants to improve her pronunciation. We need to improve this plan a little. He has improved a lot this year. This verb is useful because it helps you talk about change in a positive, calm way. Not perfection, just better, clearer, stronger than before. Here is a warm paragraph. When people think about improving English, they sometimes imagine a big sudden change, as if one day everything will feel easy all at once. But for most learners, improvement is quieter than that. You notice that you understand a sentence faster than before. You notice that a phrase comes to mind more naturally. You notice that you are less afraid to speak. A few weeks ago, I read notes I had written earlier in the year, and I could clearly see that my own thinking had improved, not in a dramatic way, but in a steady, real one. That is the kind of improvement that lasts. Now let's talk about repeat and practice, because these are at the heart of language learning and also part of many ordinary daily situations. We repeat a name to remember it. Repeat directions. Repeat a question because someone did not hear. Or repeat a useful phrase until it feels natural. We practice speaking, practice driving, practice piano, or practice patience in a slow line at a busy store. Listen carefully. Could you repeat that, please? I need to practice more. She practiced every morning for a month. He repeated the address twice, so I wouldn't forget it. These verbs are simple, but they carry discipline, rhythm, and real progress. Here is a gentle paragraph for practice. When I hear a phrase that feels especially useful, I like to repeat it softly a few times, not because I want to sound perfect, but because I want the words to become familiar in my mouth. Then, later in the day, I try to practice that phrase in a real sentence of my own. Maybe while making tea, maybe while walking home, maybe while writing a note. This small pattern of repeating and practicing has helped me much more than trying to memorize long, cold lists, because language lives through use, not only through recognition. Now let's bring in pronounce, because many learners worry about pronunciation. And this word, she pronounced my name perfectly. I'm still learning how to pronounce that sound more clearly. This verb is important because it gives you a natural way to ask for help and talk about speaking itself, which learners need very often. Here is a simple paragraph. A few days ago, I heard someone use a word I knew from reading, but I had never heard it said aloud before. For a second, I realized I had been pronouncing it differently in my mind for months. Instead of feeling embarrassed, I smiled, listened again, and repeated it quietly to myself until it felt more natural. That is such a normal learning moment, and it reminds me that good English does not grow from never making mistakes. It grows from noticing, adjusting, and continuing. Now let's move to explain in a deeper, everyday way, because explanation is part of so many ordinary moments. We explain why we are late, explain how to use something, explain what happened, or explain how we feel when someone does not understand. Listen carefully. Let me explain. She explained the instructions clearly. He explained why he had to leave early. I'm not sure how to explain it well. This verb makes your English more flexible, because once you can explain, you can do much more than answer with one short sentence. Here is a natural paragraph. Yesterday, my nephew asked me why the moon looked different from the night before, and for a moment I had to stop and think about how to explain it simply. I did not want to give him a long, difficult answer. I only wanted to explain enough for him to feel curious rather than confused. So I used easy words, simple examples, and my hands to show shape and light. That little moment reminded me that good explanation is not about sounding impressive. It is about helping someone understand, and that matters in every language. Now let's bring in invite and welcome, because these verbs are full of warmth and appear often in daily social life. We invite someone for tea, invite friends to dinner, invite a neighbor inside, or welcome guests into our home. Welcome a new coworker, or welcome a fresh change in life. Listen carefully. We invited them over for lunch. She welcomed everyone with a smile. I'd like to invite you to dinner next week. They made me feel very welcome. These verbs make English feel open, kind, and socially alive. Here is a soft paragraph. Last month, a new family moved into the apartment next door. For the first few days, we only smiled at each other in passing, But then one evening, my mother invited them in for tea. It was a simple gesture, but it changed everything. We sat together. She talked about the neighborhood and tried to welcome them in the small ways that matter. A few kind words, some local advice, and the feeling that someone was glad they had arrived. This is the kind of English that lives inside community and daily care. Now let's use celebrate, because ordinary life also includes happy moments, birthdays, good news, small achievements, and quiet victories. We celebrate a birthday. Celebrate finishing something difficult. Celebrate a promotion. Or celebrate a peaceful family evening after a long week. Listen carefully. We celebrated with cake and tea. She wanted to celebrate the good news. They celebrated their anniversary quietly at home. Even small progress is worth celebrating. This verb is meaningful because it reminds us that daily life is not only about managing problems. It is also about noticing joy. Here is a warm paragraph. Last weekend, my brother finished a long project he had been working on for months. It was not something huge or public, but it mattered to him. So we decided to celebrate in a small, simple way. We ordered dinner, sat together at home, and laughed more than usual. No one made a formal speech. No one needed to. The celebration was in the ease of the evening itself, and that is often how real life works. Some of the most meaningful celebrations are the quiet ones, and this kind of English helps you describe them beautifully. Now let's bring in protect, because in daily life, people protect time, energy, peace, privacy, health, and the people they love. Listen carefully. I'm trying to protect my free time more carefully. She protected the papers from the rain. We need to protect our sleep. He always tries to protect his family from unnecessary worry. This verb is both practical and emotional, and it can add depth to your English when you talk about what matters to you. Here is a thoughtful paragraph. Lately, I have been trying to protect the first hour of my morning, not from people, but from noise, rush, and distraction. I do not always succeed, but when I can keep that hour quiet, the whole day feels stronger, calmer, and more balanced. In a similar way, I have also learned to protect my energy by saying no more gently when I need rest. That kind of protection is not selfish. It is simply part of taking care of a life that feels human and sustainable. Now let's do one longer daily practice paragraph where many of these verbs can live together naturally. Yesterday was an ordinary day, but it held so many useful moments for English. In the morning, I compared 2 shirts and chose the one that suited the weather better. Then I checked my bag to make sure everything fit and left the house a little earlier than usual. At work, I had to arrange a short meeting, but one person canceled and another asked if we could postpone it until the afternoon. Later, I managed to handle a busy hour without getting too stressed, And when things finally calmed down, I took a breath and continued with the rest of my tasks. In the evening, I met a friend who invited me into a small cafe I had never tried before. She recommended the soup, and I repeated the name of it twice so I would remember how to pronounce it. We talked for a long time about habits, progress, and how hard it can be not to compare yourself to others sometimes. Before going home, I realized how much a simple conversation can improve a difficult day. And that small realization stayed with me all night. Bien, now let's do another one, but this time more focused on learning itself. Some days, learning English feels smooth, and on other days it feels slower. But both kinds of days matter. When I do not understand something, I try not to judge myself too quickly. I listen again, repeat the phrase, practice it in my own sentence, and ask how to pronounce it if I need help. If I still feel confused, I let the problem rest for a while and come back later with a calmer mind. I have learned that improvement often happens after quiet repetition, not after pressure. So I continue, even if the step is small, because small, steady steps still move forward. And that is how real progress is built. And now, one more soft practice paragraph that brings daily life and emotion together. This evening, I decided to stay home because it felt like the kind of night that suited quietness more than noise. I opened the window to let cool air into the room, made tea, and put my phone away so I could protect a little peace for myself. Then I remembered a promise I had made to call a friend, so I rang her and we talked for nearly an hour. She mentioned a problem she had been dealing with, and I tried to listen carefully rather than rush to explain or advise. By the end of the call, nothing dramatic had changed, but she sounded lighter. And I felt grateful for the simple fact that conversation itself can sometimes help people handle life better. This is everyday English too. Not only errands and schedules, but listening, caring, pausing, and being present. What matters now is that all of these verbs and phrases are no longer standing alone. They are starting to live together. Compare, fit, suit, handle, arrange, cancel, postpone, continue, improve, repeat, practice, pronounce, explain, invite, welcome, celebrate, protect, and so many others you have already met. When they begin to connect inside real daily situations, your English becomes easier to trust because it starts sounding like life. And life is easier to remember than a list. So, the more often you return to these soft, practical paragraphs, and the more often you speak about your own real days in simple, honest English, the more natural all of this will become. Little by little, sentence by sentence, day by day. Thank you so much, truly, for staying here with me until the end of this lesson. I'm so happy that we could spend this time together, slowly, calmly, and step by step, exploring so many essential English verbs and phrases that can help you in real daily life. If you stayed with me through this full practice, please feel proud of yourself, because showing up, listening carefully, and continuing to learn little by little really matters. And it is one of the best ways to grow your English in a strong and natural way. I hope this lesson helped you feel more comfortable with everyday English, not just as vocabulary on a page, but as real language you can use when you wake up in the morning, go to work, talk to a friend, make a plan, solve a problem, or simply describe your day in a clear and natural way. The more often you hear and repeat these useful verbs and phrases, the more familiar they will become, and one day, without even noticing it at first, you will start using them more easily, more confidently, and more naturally in your own speaking. Please remember, you do not need to be perfect to make progress. You only need to keep going. One lesson, one phrase, one small step at a time. If some parts felt easy, that is wonderful. And if some parts felt a little difficult, that is completely okay too. Learning English is a journey, and every bit of honest practice helps more than you think. If you enjoyed learning with me today, please subscribe to English Practice with Julia and press the bell icon too, so you do not miss our daily English lessons. We are here to learn together in a calm, friendly, and encouraging way every single day. And I would love to keep practicing with you again very soon. Thank you once again for your time, your energy, and your patience. Take care of yourself. Keep your English close to your daily life, and whenever you can, come back and practice again, slowly, clearly, and with confidence. I'll be here with you in the next lesson.